I have with me Manushi Chhillar today. Manushi, it's an honor to have you here today at the Republic Youth Summit.
Thank you.
Podcast with you. It's really a pleasure to talk to you. We are going through your journey, and you've been a family of doctors. You've been from a family of doctors. So, not going into that field, but going in for modeling, winning the Miss World pageant. How has the journey been for you, and what pushed you for that?
It's been, so far it's been good. It's been great. Like you said, I come from a family of doctors. So naturally, I myself was studying to be a doctor. And somewhere in my mid-teens, I remember watching the Miss World finals on television and just reading more about it. Of course, I knew of it, but I didn't know as much about what the competition was. We remember, all the girls, all the lovely women who won Miss World from India in the 90s. And eventually, of course, the pageant also evolved. So I just remember understanding and realizing that this is a stepping stone to many, many things in life, different opportunities, more exposure. It's a lovely platform to put across, your point of view and to actually be able to pursue a lot of things that you want to do in life. And which is true, which is what happened with my life after I won Miss World. Modeling is not something that I really did. I only remember a very short period of modeling before winning Miss World, when I'd gotten my pictures clicked for Miss India, and I was still in college, still studying. And the photographer, actually I lived in Delhi, and he was from Delhi, and he told me, he said, you've got a lovely face, why don't you also pursue modeling on the side? And I said, I only need these pictures for my Miss India form. And he said, no, you know what, you go to college, you study, and let me circulate and let me talk to a few agencies. So I think he got me like a couple of campaigns, which is great because I earned some money before which I could spend on my pageant journey. But modeling was never the plan, and I don't think I ever took it I don't think I ever took it seriously. So pageantry, I always thought that after the Miss World platform, with whatever opens up, whatever I'm sure it'll be better even for me as a doctor. I'll have more eyeballs, I'll have a different platform. But I never realized that it was actually something completely different from what I was thinking in my head, because I never realized that is going to open doors into a different industry altogether. Yes, we did have Miss Worlds who ended up becoming actors, but it had been 17 years since we had a Miss World. So I think the last time, our last Miss World, when she won, I was only 3. So it's not like I got to see what her journey was like. So I feel like different opportunities, and for me to get that first launch, which was not even an option before, because I grew up thinking that you can become a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Nahi to, graduation ke baad after graduation you prepare for your civil services. So this was not even a part of the plan.
Right.
But the fact that these doors opened for me, and the fact that I actually got to become a part of an industry which I knew nothing about is actually great. It's quite scary as well, but it's great because this journey has taught me a lot, to be able to build for yourself and to make, they say something like, life is what you make it, and I think that's something which really stuck by me, and I guess that's how the transition into films really happened.
So, you've been a family of doctors. I want to know the reaction of your family when you broke the news to them. There's a notion, if you're a family of doctors, you have to become a doctor. So I'm from a family of engineers. So my dad was expecting me to become an engineer. So when I broke the news to him that I want to become a journalist, he was shocked. He was taken aback because he was not really expecting it. I want to know what your family reacted to when you broke the news to them.
I never had to break the news to anyone. I am very close to my parents, and they're like my best friends. They are my best friends. And growing up, I was tall, and I used to get a lot of attention because of the way I looked. And a lot of other parents would tell my mother, you should send her for Miss Universe, send her for Miss World. She should definitely try. So I grew up hearing a lot of that, and my parents always knew that I was interested. Like, I enjoyed being on stage, but I I didn't have the right platform to really pursue that as a career. Hence, I never considered for it to be a career up until I had that platform. So they were actually very happy. I have two siblings. My sister's a lawyer and my brother is he studied finance. So no one actually ended up becoming a doctor in our family. So our parents never put the pressure on us.
They're very chill with it.
I mean, they always said that you need to make an informed decision about what you want to do. Don't make it on a whim, or don't just go and see something and just feel like, oh, this is cool, so today I want to do this and tomorrow I want to do that. Like, be responsible and know that if you're not becoming a doctor, then we won't be able to guide you beyond a certain extent. Like for me, of course, as a doctor, I had to do my own hard work. I had to crack the entrance. I had to get good marks to be able to get, I mean, eventually I would have had to get a good rank to get the kind of specialization I want. So all those things you have to do on your own. But, you know, there's a certain level of comfort you have when your parents are also doctors, because they can guide you to a certain extent and they can tell you, okay, you know, this specialization is good and what to expect in another specialization, etc., etc. But, you know, so our parents always said that, you know, we can guide you up to what we know, what our experience in life is. But if you're choosing something completely different, then be prepared. Yeah. I never had to break the news to them. I actually got scouted at a college fest. I always thought I'll finish my MBBS and then before my internship, I'll go and try in Miss India. That's what my plan was. And when I got selected in a college fest, which happened in Delhi, at AIMS in Delhi, my mom was like, why not? You know, it's great. At least this time you try and you'll get all the training, and then next time you go prepared. How supportive. I didn't imagine I'd actually end up winning. Yeah. And when I won, I said, okay, great. So now I'm in it. Yeah. So now might as well do it properly. So I think after I won Miss India, I really put in the work to understand pageantry, to understand, you know, all the training that girls did over years. I had to do it in 3 months. And I guess that's that. And then eventually the transition into films was pretty natural. It was not like one day I got a film and then I went home. Yeah. I was getting film offers. I was getting film offers since I was Miss India. And obviously, like, I used to discuss everything with my parents. And I remember discussing this with them. And when Yash Raj showed interest in wanting to launch me, and there were other filmmakers as well, but I remember my mother telling me every time I'd say in an interview that people would ask me this question a lot after winning Miss World, that अच्छा आप actor बनेंगी या बाकियों की तरह actor बनेंगी या फिर आप अपना medical continue करेंगी. And I said, you know, I worked so hard. Yes. To crack that entrance and to get into medicine. And first year is so tough, you know. I said, I've finished my first prof. I said, I am going to continue to be a doctor. And I remember my parents, actually that's the time my parents sat me down and they said, no beta, you know, sometimes it's all right if there's something else you want to do. We understand that everyone thinks you're the good girl who's going to finish medicine and who's going to become a doctor. But your life is not like a normal medical student's life. Now something wonderful has happened, something new has happened. So think about it, and you always have your education to fall back on. And I think that's it. And I never had to sit down and explain it to them. Although the only thing that happened, the only news I had to break to them was after a few months into Miss World, I called them and I said, listen, if I'm pursuing a career here, I'm going to be living in Mumbai and I cannot live alone. Yeah. I mean, I'm not prepared to be living on my own. And I'd say that's the most wonderful thing they did for me, is that they shifted base to Mumbai. To support me and support my career, and I think now we're finally settling in the city.
One last question before I let you go. You've stepped into acting. What kind of roles do you see yourself in movies?
You know, roles that I've absolutely loved watching. I feel that whatever films I've grown up watching, I've absolutely loved well-written female characters. And while you're obviously initially in your career, a lot of times you don't get to choose what you want to do. You have to pretty much choose from what's being offered, what's being written. You know, so you kind of initially you have to take up work, different kind of work, and you also have to explore. You have to learn. You have to understand. So I think I'm in that phase right now of like exploring, understanding, till I reach a certain stage where I can that every role I choose is a role that I really want to do. But right now I also have to explore my strengths. So it would be very difficult for me to tell you what are the kind of roles I want to do, but I'd say, you know, roles that are written from a women's perspective I've always loved. And I've always loved a film that's sparked a certain that's kind of made me feel a certain emotion. It could be anything. It could be made me feel romantic or funny or maybe a little sad or anything. And I think those are the films that I've always loved. So I guess a role that I can a female role that can actually spark that in people who are watching. You know, a role that's written from a female's perspective. And I've seen some lovely. I think there's a film called Bhakshak, which was directed by Pulkit. And I remember watching the film, and Bhumi Pednekar is the protagonist in that film. And I remember watching that film, and I called him and I said, listen, I'm pretty sure a girl has also helped you write the script. He said, you know, my wife also gives in her inputs. I said, when you watch a film, you know it's been written from a female's perspective, not from what a man thinks a female would be thinking, but what a female would actually be thinking in a certain situation. And I guess those are the kind of roles I would love to do.
Manushi, it was lovely talking to you. Wishing you all the best in your career ahead. Thank you very much for speaking to Republic.
Thank you.